Hello there! Now I thought it might be fun to do a series of videos on using ExpressPCB Plus. Now I don't do as many PCB boards as I used to now that I'm retired, but I still use ExpressPCB Plus for other things like reverse engineering older equipment. Now I was only going to do two videos. One on how to use ExpressPCB Plus to make a schematic by scanning a PCB and then tracing lines and placing components on the drawing. And the other video was on how to design custom components. But after I started writing the scripts for those videos, I realized I did a few things that needed more explanation and, well, it led to a let's do a video series on ExpressPCB Plus. Now in the first few videos, I'll go over some basic setup and describe how the drawing space is laid out, plus things like basic navigation of the screen, XY coordinates, origin points, grid and snap values, layers, and screen colors. After that, I will go over the functions of various tools, how they work, and what I know about them. But before we get to that, first I want to point out that I am just an end user of ExpressPCB Classic and ExpressPCB Plus. Now I am in no way affiliated with the fine folks at ExpressPCB. And because of this, I will be honest in my opinion of the ExpressPCB program, and I will point out things I like and things I dislike. And there are quite a few of the latter. Second, this series of videos will be based on what I know after using the programs for 25 years or so. Now, I am not an expert at the program, nor do I have any formal training in the design of printed circuit boards. Everything I'm going to show you will be based on what I have learned using the program. Thirdly, I will cover everything I think someone new to PCB design will need to know about how to use the program to get them started and give them a good grounding in how the program works. Now, I might explain the same thing multiple times in different videos, but that is because I have no idea where you started watching this tutorial series. I also try to explain things like you are sitting right here next to me asking questions as we go along. And fourth, I will not be showing how to actually design a board. I'll mainly be talking about how the program works. Now I will use examples, but I will not be showing you how to go from schematic to board layout. And fifth, and this is the most important item, I suspect I used the program for different reasons now that I am retired. I mainly use ExpressPCB Plus and ExpressPCB Classic to help me reverse engineering and document older equipment by scanning the circuit boards and then recreating the board layout. I do very little board creation for new projects. But that doesn't mean that the information I'll present in these videos will not be helpful in helping you get the most out of the program. Now, I might miss something about the program. As I said, I'm not an expert at the program. In fact, as I was making these videos, I would uncover some function that ExpressPCB Plus has that I didn't know about. Now, I might miss something that a tool does, and that is because, well, I was unaware of it. And if I make a mistake, maybe you can leave a comment and help clarify it for others. Usually, I'll take all of the mistakes I made and things that I missed and then do a follow-up video that covers those items. Basically, what I want to do is I want to provide you with some of the knowledge that I have on ExpressPCB Plus to get you started and then encourage you to explore the program and try different ideas on your own. Now that is one of the things I enjoy about using any kind of program. It's finding that hidden function or another way to accomplish something that makes it a lot of fun. And one more thing. From time to time, I will do a split screen showing the differences between ExpressPCB Plus and ExpressPCB Classic. Now, this is not a criticism of ExpressPCB Plus, but there are some very handy tools and features in ExpressPCB Classic that unfortunately did not make it into ExpressPCB Plus. And conversely, there are things in ExpressPCB Plus that you cannot do in ExpressPCB Classic, and when I come to those topics, I want to show you the difference between the two programs. And who knows, maybe someday those handy tools from the Classic version will make their way into the ExpressPCB Plus version. So, if that long-winded intro didn't scare you off, let's get started. Okay, I'm not going to show you how to get ExpressPCB Plus and install it. I mean, if you're watching this, I'm going to assume you've already downloaded the program and have it installed on your computer. So here's the first thing we see when we open ExpressPCB Plus, the PCB gallery. Now, this is where all of your previous drawings are located, and you can open a drawing directly from here by clicking on that drawing, selecting a drawing and clicking on it, or going up here and start a new drawing by clicking on this button that says New Blank Board. So now we have a new drawing with a properties window smack dab in the middle of it. Now, the first page of properties has two items that I fill in whenever I want to make a board. The first one is the part number right here. So I'll click in that, and I'm going to give it a number like 1. Now, for the revision right here, I'm going to click in there, and I'm going to give it a really unique name like 1A. Now, there are a couple of other items in this window that are of interest. Now, the first one is the auto via hole diameter and the auto via pad diameter. Now, these two boxes allow you to set the dimensions of the via that ExpressPCB Plus will automatically insert for you, but we're not going to talk about that. That's for a later video. The other thing is the origin point. Now, right now you can see it says positive above origin, or I could select positive below origin. Now, we're going to discuss the origin point in another video, so right now we're just going to leave this at positive above origin. Now, I don't really have to fill out anything in the properties window, and if I don't want to do that, I can just come down here and hit cancel. But we put in the part number and the revision number, so we would have to hit OK. But we're going to move on to the next page, which is documentation. Now, like it says at the top, this information is optional and you can leave it blank. Now, sometimes I fill it out and sometimes I don't. Do note, though, that your 1 and 1A that you typed in on the previous page appears right here. Remember, this is not the name of your drawing. You'll give the drawing a proper name when you save it. Now, the third page is rules. And this is where all the basic info and default settings for designing the board are stored. Now, I've never changed any of these settings and just use what ExpressPCB Plus chooses as its own default settings. And like I said before, sometimes I won't fill out anything in properties and just cancel out of it. But for now, I'm going to hit OK. So here is the basic default board outline. Now, the default board is 3.8 inches wide by 2.5 inches high. The lines that make up the board edge in my program are a shade of blue. And now in your program, it might be different. I have set colors differently to make them more pleasing to my old eyes. And again, I will explain how to change colors in another video. The program defaults to the Select tool when you open a drawing. And as you can see, it looks like a regular mouse cursor. Now, should I be using another tool, say the Trace tool, let's go up and select that like that. We'll bring it back over here into the drawing area. And I want to get back to the Select tool. I can move my cursor over here and hit this button where it says Select. And now my cursor is changed back to the Select tool, and you'll notice that this button has turned green, indicating that that is the tool that is selected. Or, if I don't want to do that, I can use a keyboard shortcut. And that keyboard shortcut is the Escape key. So if I hit the Escape key right now, I go back to the Select tool. And as you can see, my cursor is changed and the Select button is now highlighted in green. So let's take a tour of the basic screen. Now, this is my drawing area with my board outline. These lines indicate the edge of the board. Now, I can make my board any size I want to, up to 14 by 14 inches. And just so you know, let's go look at board properties again. So I'll come up here to Design Info. I'm going to hit Board Properties. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select Rules. And if you go down here, you will see, and it's grayed out, so you can't change it, board width maximum 14 inches and board height maximum 14 inches. And as I said, they're both grayed out, and I haven't found a way to change that. So I do believe that the maximum board size you can make is 14 by 14 inches. Now, if there is a way to change that, let me know in the comments. Okay, I'm going to cancel out of this. Now, up here at the top, we have tabs labeled for File, Edit, Arrange, View, Grid, Design Info, Order Boards, and Help. Below that is the ribbon, and there's lots of good stuff here which we will cover, but you can see here we have File, Font with my font select buttons. Then we have shape. Here we can change the copper or silkscreen layers for traces, text, ellipses, polygons, etc. Also, we can change the line width and some other things. Then comes part description and file description. Now, the manual is not very clear about these two items, and actually, when you get right down to it, the manual is not very clear on a lot of things. But information about parts that you have used will appear here when you place them in your drawing and then highlight them. We will also use these boxes as well when we design our own custom parts in a later video. Next comes hole and pad, and this is where we can change the size of holes, pads, and vias that we insert in our drawing. And this area will also give us information about a highlighted pad in our drawing. Okay, now comes size and position. And this will give you lots of information about components, pads, lines, where they are located in the XY world. Let me highlight the board edge like this. And here you can see that it is showing me the height and the width of the board. Plus it's giving some XY dimensions and another couple of boxes to say right and bottom. And we're going to go over this whole thing in another video in greater detail. Next is layer view. And here we can make the three most common layers visible or turn them off using these three buttons. We can also select the colors and visibility button here and have complete control over all of the layers in our drawing, both color and whether they are visible or not. And using this button labeled turn over, we can flip the board over to get a look at its soft white underbelly if need be. The last goodie on the ribbon is the Arrange box, and just as you would expect, we can use the buttons here to flip selected items or the whole drawing vertically, horizontally, align items, rotate or group them, and many other fun things. And again, we'll talk about them in greater detail in a later video. Okay, before we get to the left-hand toolbar, let's jump down to the bottom of the screen. And here you're going to notice two sets of numbers. And these kind of work with the size and position box up on the ribbon. Now, the first set of numbers are telling you the XY position of your mouse. Now, my numbers are being displayed in decimal units. Yours might be displaying in millimeters. It depends on how you set up your drawing. Next to that, we have two numbers that say move over element. Now, this is telling you where on the screen in XY the pad of a part or a line, a trace, or some other item is located. And this too works in conjunction with the size and position box in the ribbon, and it needs a bit of explanation on exactly what is going on when it displays the numbers. And then over here, there are a couple of really cool looking gears that just seem to be there for decoration. Now, I've never been able to get them to do anything, so we'll just lean back and admire their coolness. So let's turn our attention to the left side of the screen. And here are all of your tools for making the drawing. At the top, we have the Select tool, then the Hole and Pad Insert tool, the Part tool with its drop-down menu, the Trace tool with its own drop-down menu. Then we have the Line tool, the Text tool, the Rectangle, Polygon, Arc, and Ellipse tools. Now, the Arc and Ellipse tools are going to get their own videos because I did not find them to be very intuitive. Now, maybe you did when you used them, but I sure did not. But wait, there's more. Now we have the Image tool, the Note tool, the Continuity tool, the Net Connection and Validate List tools, and last on our hit parade, we have some Zoom tools. Now, one thing I did not mention at the beginning of the video is that ExpressPCB Plus also comes with ExpressPCB Plus Schematic. Now, I don't use ExpressPCB Plus Schematic. I started drawing schematics back in 1991 with a program called FastCAD. Our engineering department adopted FastCAD for all of our design work, and we made maybe 1,000 or more custom parts for it. And, well, I'm just really fast at drawing a schematic in FastCAD and then using ExpressPCB Plus to design the board. This means that I will not be going over the tools that allow ExpressPCB Plus to check the schematic drawn in ExpressPCB Plus Schematic. But if this series of videos proves to be popular and I get enough requests, I think I'll do a series on how to use ExpressPCB Plus Schematic and ExpressPCB Plus Design together. Okay, enough of this intro. In the next video, we're going to discuss navigating the workspace, XY coordinates, and the Select tool. Hopefully, we'll see you soon.